Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome to a brand new series here on my YouTube channel. I'm Jay Kishi, and this is Producer Tip Tuesday, where we discuss overlooked topics and how to become a better producer. Now, before we get into it, I invite you guys to please like and subscribe the video if you enjoy, as it really helps out my channel. And if you're interested, I discuss these topics every Tuesday on my Twitch channel, link in the description. But if you miss out, don't worry, I post edited down versions of each discussion here on YouTube every week. Without further ado, hope you guys enjoy. So today what I wanted to talk about is the concept of turning off your inner critic. I think it's really a valuable thing for musicians and artists in general, is to have like a really sharp judgment and have like really strong taste when you see something or hear something, to be able to discern the different influences and elements of whatever it is that you're specializing in. So in our case, music, that's part of taste. But I also think there's a judgment aspect, which is like, is this good or is this bad? Most people who are musicians are addicted to listening to great music that they think is great. That's part of what drives them to be musicians, is because they hear music and they want to do that, right? But having that so deeply ingrained, and a lot of people call this like having the ear. The caveat is that we have a tendency to, let's say like I'm a producer that looks up to Kanye West or something, or let's say Jay Dilla. Jay Dilla is the reason I'm a producer. So if I start making beats and they're not sounding like Jay Dilla, I'm just going to be like, this is straight up trash. Like this is terrible music. I hate the music that I've made. And the problem is that you're staying in the same mindset as you were as a listener. If you do that too much, then it's a really bad habit to build up. It can be good if you have built up enough momentum for yourself and creatively to the point where you can start to be slightly more critical of your ideas. But especially early on in your journey as a producer or a music maker or an artist and creative in general, and early on in a project, the idea should be to be as open to your ideas and other people's ideas if you're collaborating as possible. Like it's definitely going to happen. It's not about like finding a way so that voice never creeps into your head that says like, this is trash, like delete this. It's not about learning to do that and like remove that part of yourself, because you want to keep the critic part of yourself because it will drive your taste, right? And that's really, really important if you're gonna, continue to make quality music or increase the quality of your music over time. In America, we have Little League baseball, which is like what kids do. It's like comparing your little kid and being like, why aren't they like the Major League Baseball players? Like, how come he can't hit like those guys? Or how come he can't catch like those guys or play like those guys? It's something to keep in mind, is like, am I comparing something that doesn't need any comparison, like doesn't need to be compared? If I'm comparing the track that I've been working on for like an hour to something that has not only been worked on for many hours, but has many, many people working on it, multiple sets of ears filtering through to make sure it sounds as clean as possible through as many different devices and streaming sources as possible, and I'm comparing myself to that, then it's inevitable that you're going to get discouraged, right? So it's trying to learn to put less weight on that side of yourself when you're creating, especially in the early steps. As far as like advice on like, helping with this, I think one of the first things that comes to mind, which just helps mindset emotionally and everything else in general, is meditation. If you've never tried it, I know that it can feel like really new agey and cheesy, but if you've never tried it and you suffer from some instabilities with like feeling motivated or focused, dealing with all of those sorts of problems, I think meditation definitely helps. Whatever way that you can find space to do it, whether that's a couple minutes a day or you're able to set aside 20 minutes to an hour, like half an hour a day, that's great. Whether it's guided meditation or silent meditation, focusing on your breath, there's many techniques. You can look it all up online, but I really think meditation is one of the best things. And I know that Decap, the guy who makes Drums That Knock, one of like the most famous sample packs in the world, he's a really strong proponent of meditation as a producer and as a creative person. The other thing I think that really helps is like limiting yourself, because I think sometimes part of what comes along with this is the issue of overproducing. It's really difficult to add things to a song and make it sound better if it's not already sounding great with the most simple elements already added. If you're making beats, like trying to make a really minimal version of something first that you feel satisfied with before you start to think about like overproducing things, or like, throwing a lot of extra production on it, I think it's really beneficial. It's definitely tough. It's definitely tough because it's rigidity that happens like within your mental approach to things when things don't seem to be going quite right. When you're noticing yourself getting into that position, not to fall into the same trap all over again, but to notice that you're starting to fall into that. Oh, I'm judging myself too harshly. Oh, I'm thinking like, oh, this is trash. Oh, I'm thinking of deleting this. To take a deep breath, relax your mind, give yourself a minute of silence or whatever you need, and then think simply about what do you want to do next to this track. Making it more limited in terms of like what are your options can also help. Make a whole like beat tape or mixtape out of just piano, drums, and bass or something like that. I think those kinds of things, like even if you just do them as an exercise, can really help you to like get past the idea of like trying to compare your stuff to other people. I think in general, just the practice of like relaxing yourself and finding a way to make your mind and everything relax while you're doing it. It's still very important to have like a strong taste, a strong feeling about music, because that's going to drive you to do better. But learning to turn it off is all it is. Like we said before, being self-deprecating and pessimistic about your own music and kind of extending that to the way you treat other people's music. You know, when you're like, oh, like I'm like you see a friend and they're like, oh yeah, I'm like learning to make beats, and you like listen to it and like, this is trash. Like even if you just say that in your mind, that's something that you've already said to yourself about your music. So that's why you're taking it out on this guy. That's why even if you don't verbalize any of that, like I still have the instinct when I like hear something that just like some random guy, not like a famous person, has made, and I'm like, damn, this is better than mine. I get a little bit like I still get a little bit tilted, right? But I think that is so important to like learn to turn that off, or just notice that it's happening and not doing anything about it. You know, not downvoting the YouTube video or something like that. You know, taking no actions, just like letting things be there and noticing that you're feeling this way and trying to figure out why really helps. Like kind of what we were saying before, having a motivation and a outlook about music where you want to enjoy as much music as possible. You want to find more people who enjoy music like you do, and you want to share it with them, and you want to try to elevate them along with yourself, is always going to help you to overcome your own boundaries within your like mental blocks and stuff about about your production. I always try not to project. Yeah, it's tough, but I think once you're at the point where you notice that you're projecting, like the fact that you just said that is probably a really great sign that whether or not you've, you know, solved the problem or not, you're moving in the right direction for sure. You know, learning to just be kinder to yourself is honestly all it comes down to. If you're having trouble also like focusing or finding time to produce, or you find yourself starting something and then just walking away from it because you don't like it, set a timer for yourself. Just make yourself sit there, whether even if you're just listening to a 8-bar loop for an hour. Set a timer, say like, I'm going to focus, I'm going to do this for an hour. I'm going to sit here, I'm going to make music for an hour. And if at the end of that hour, you still want to do it, awesome. If you don't, you put in a solid hour, like go chill out, like take a break, like let yourself relax, especially if you're getting into like a daily habit of making music. So you can't just step into your shoes for the first time and run a marathon, right? You got to take the steps to build up to that. So if it means 1 hour a day, you know, for the first month or two, and then after that, a little bit more than that, each time you do it, you're getting a little bit more resilient to those feelings and all those things that crop up. There's still going to be challenges. Creating something is never supposed to be is never going to be without complications, but it doesn't mean that it's going to be something that stops you in your tracks. And that's the thing that we want to avoid. That's why I started to stream, if I'm honest. Even if no one shows up, I'm motivated to work on at least something for a designated amount of time. Exactly. Like I would be doing this even if I wasn't streaming. Even if nobody shows up, I should be here doing this. Like, so I might as well just put it online so I have accountability and also the potential to share something with somebody else who might resonate with it. One of the things I've been trying to follow is like, whether it's working out or like something like that, like practicing piano, practicing instruments, try not to skip a day. Like if you're trying to practice 5 days a week or every day a week, then if you skip a day, don't beat yourself up, but don't skip another day. Don't skip twice in a row. Don't miss twice. Hey, I hope you guys enjoyed that video. I hope you guys got something useful out of it. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Like I said, it really helps the channel. And if you get a chance, please follow me on Twitch, where I'll be streaming every Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Until next time, thanks for watching.